move this stripper pole out of the way. Reminds me of childhood. And last night. My childhood, it was like hippie stuff, minus the drugs, but really needing to be medicated sort of situation. I feel really uncomfortable on stage with my clothes on. I had sex today, and I didn't even cry. I mean, I do hate to show off, of course, unless I have the opportunity. When I was born, my mom, she named me Cannabis Amber Dawn Lee. The cannabis is silent. I grew up in a polygamist cult. Anyone else? Anyone? Anybody? Anybody at all? Polygamy is the practice of having more than one husband or wife. No, wait, that's wrong. Polygamy is the practice of having more than one wife. Yeah, that's right. Oh, it's wrong, but right. Cults are really awesome. Unless, of course, you're not the leader. Cult kids, they weren't allowed normal things. Things like toys or holidays or Adderall. This cult I was in this one time, it wasn't as bad as other cults. The only thing they put in their Kool-Aid was Kool-Aid. But a little Kool-Aid. I mean, I like to refer to it as Jesus juice. Sugar is of the devil. Come on. Yeah, that part of my childhood was crazy, of course, but not like Manson family crazy. I mean, not like, hey, we killed Sharon Tate kind of crazy. The only thing that cult killed was my dreams. Years later, I obviously made my dreams come true. I did what any normal person would do, and I packed up my car in the middle of an all-night drug binge, and I moved to Hollywood so that I could be a big star. I would like to advise against doing this, because along the way, you most likely are going to lose all of your money, your dignity, and your bra if you're not careful. I just wanted to see my name in the lights. Oh, and I saw lights flashing on top of a police car behind me. It's like, pull over, stop speeding, stop trying to make it in Hollywood, just give up. Like, okay. See, I could go home, but where's home? I mean, now I live in the valley where dreams go to die. Obviously, those police officers did not know who the hell I think I am. I mean, I'm not much, but I'm all I ever think about. It's not easy making dreams come true in Hollywood. I had to stand out. So I was like, great, I don't have anything unique to share. So I did some research on my past, just looking for some hilarious trauma that I could use in my comedy. So I went through the normal things, like looking through old childhood diaries and photo albums and FBI files. I mean, somebody said once that tragedy plus time equals comedy. But then again, I mean, I've never really been good at math. What is it about being traumatized that makes us want to be famous? And by us, I mean me. I mean, we all have so much that we carry around with us in life. Like, we all have trauma bags. Mine's a Chanel. Okay, so it's fake. I found out that as a kid, I was living in one of the world's largest child ritualistic sex rings in the history of the United States at the time. Me, a world record holder. I mean, whoa, I thought, that's quite an achievement. I mean, how many comedians can say that? I mean, wow. I mean, I really wasn't used to thinking then. I mean, I did have people for that. Men, obviously. Wasn't cool living in a cult as a kid, which is devastating because I would have done almost anything to be popular back then. And now, hey, did you add me on Instagram? It's at Amber in the Valley. I would have worshipped the devil if it would have made me popular. Don't worry, I wouldn't go out and sell my soul to the devil. It turns out he put a return stamp on me. It's been a really long journey to get here, to where I am today. A lot of people have really touched me along the way. Mostly my uncle. That's not true. She wasn't my uncle. It's okay. I'm adopted. And you know what that means? Yeah, I can have guilt-free sex with my cousin. Woo! I mean, I am a chosen one. But it doesn't really help me in the real world. Also, being adopted, it just means that I'm special and unique. Just like everyone else. So being part of the chosen few as a kid, it didn't really help me in the real world. It's just about as useful as knowing how to braid. Let's start from the beginning. How did I end up in this weird, fundamental, apocalyptic, polygamous doomsday cult?
Oh, is this what happens during one of those timeshare sales pitch seminars?
Yes, Bernadette, but remember, seen, not heard? Keep sweet. Okay, let's rewind. When I was born, my mom, Rose, who tattooed a rose on her just in case she forgot her stage name while on the go-go. Well, Rose, she used a fake ID at the hospital when I was born. She'd stolen it from someone at a bar. Now imagine if you were that poor lady and found out that you had had a baby. Right? I mean, she's like, I swear, I didn't give birth. There is no baby here. There is no baby here. I swear. I just was calling because I wanted to tell you that I'd lost my ID. My mom, Rose, she only liked to smoke when she was stressed out or in or all the time. So I was born in the smoking section. Now, if you think smoking weed through a bong is tough, just imagine using an umbilical cord like, Mom, get... Cut the cord. Cut the cord. Do not enter. Do not enter. Whew. I mean, much later in life, at 3 days old, well, my mom, Rose, she hitchhiked with me cross country from Michigan to Texas as a newborn baby on her back in an Indian papoose. It's a leather backpack with beads and fringe. Native Americans, they would carry their young. Hell's Angels, they used to carry guns. And my mom, Rose, well, she carried me. And now you, too, can find your very own, now available at Free People for music fests like Coachella. My mom, Rose, she also drank a lot when she was pregnant with me. I mean, I don't blame her for it, even though I was just a fetus. And not just because fetuses don't judge. Every rose has its thorn. My mom's was alcoholism. Wait, okay, that's not totally true. It was also drugs. Personally, I would never drink alcohol or do drugs if I was pregnant. My God, I'd be more responsible and have an abortion. Now, if you're offended by that, it's probably because you've never had to spend time with a drunk baby. Wait, hear me out. I was taught that abortion babies are lucky. They get to go straight back up to the highest kingdom of heaven without ever having to get up and go to work. I mean, I wasn't lucky or sinless. My mom didn't send me straight back up to heaven. No, not Rose. She had me. Now here I am. I have to get up, come to work, and pretend like everything's fine and that this is my dream come true. Yes, sometimes a nightmare is a dream. I did have the best drugs as a fetus. I was one really stoned embryo. I'd like to tell you that I'm totally sober, but that would be a lie. What do you expect? I started drinking at 0 years old. I wish I had more memories with my mom, but instead, there's mostly blackouts. I used to black out. I get it. I've done it. I hope I'm not in the middle of a blackout right now. But if I am, do not wake me up. My mom Rose, she had a lifestyle that wasn't fit for a baby, so we went to a more child-appropriate place. A head shop. A head shop, it's a place where people who don't use their head shop. My mom, she loved to blow up posters, air ferns, and bongs. So, before leaving, she traded my papoose for some smokes. Really, Mom? Smoking? But my mom, she's no quitter. Unless it comes to parenting. Because I was still in the papoose. She didn't take the papoose with her. It was so cool, and I was still in it. Just left there, in the head shop among the paraphernalia. It's like, puff, puff, pacifier. The head shop became my nursery. Truth is, I actually come from money. A lot of money. My family's in banking, and my mom, she robbed them. My mom robbed banks. She robbed this one bank where there was so much money. Yeah, she used the shotgun during the robbery that she'd stolen off of a pickup truck gun rack. It was just hanging right there in the window. It's just how Texas was back then. And now, I assume. I mean, there was this getaway driver. It was a friend of Mom's from the Black Panther Party. Well, this guy, he was the lookout, and he did the driving while my mom Rose and another female accomplice, well, they got away with the robbery completely. Then they got pulled over for going the wrong way down a one-way straight to prison. That's when the police found my mom and a lesbian hiding in the trunk. And that's when my mom finally realized that it was time for her to come out of the trunk. So when the head shop owners saw my mom Rose on the front page of the newspaper in handcuffs for armed robbery, they knew exactly what to do. They figured, they might as well keep me. Bring me that baby. See, getting a new family runs in the family. All of them. Plus, a baby's a really niche part of the business. Puff, puff, pass. Puff, puff, pacifier. The head shop was my nursery. One afternoon, when my new siblings and head shop family was bonding, smoking pot together, well, Mormon missionaries, they just showed up to teach the gospel of the one and only true Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who did not, however, bring refreshments or treats, but just a message from God. The others, these young men wearing suits, riding 10-speeds, and each other while absolutely not being gay, those guys. We learned about church founder Joseph Smith, who was a 14-year-old boy who one day, while playing outside in a grove of trees with two adult men who were naked just wearing robes, well, one of those said to call him God and the other said to call him Jesus, and then there was some Holy Ghost. But these ghosts, they told Joseph to start this new religion because all the other religions were wrong and everyone but the right one is all going to burn in hell for all time and eternity. So this kid, he was seeing things that no one else had witnessed. Nobody else was there at all. Just this 14-year-old and some invisible, imaginary adult ghosts. And when a teenager is having visions in a grove of trees and claims to be a prophet of God, well, people listened. But my new head shop parents, they never listened to anybody, so I had nothing to worry about. Especially with my dad. He never listened to anybody ever. So that's when we joined. They quit the head shop and turned to prayer to pay the bills. In order to join the religion, my head shop parents would have to give 10% of all of their earnings to the church. And 10% of their earnings was literally pennies. That's right. For the price of a cup of coffee you are no longer allowed to drink, you too can join. And, when it comes to joining the right religion, you have to make sure that it's the true church, just like all the rest. My head shop parents, they were dunked in water, as all hippies should be, bathed, baptized, joined. I am a Mormon. Just like Donny Osmond and his sister wife, Marie. This means I was almost famous. Hashtag blessed. These Mormons, they prayed and they asked God to help my new parents stop drinking, smoking, and doing coke, a cola, the real thing. That's right. My parents, they were still hippies though, so my daddy went out and he got near beer. It's like non-alcoholic beer that our family could drink together. As kids, we would walk around the neighborhood just sipping on our own near beer. All the other kids, they got to have whatever else they wanted. Except for near beer. It tasted almost just like beer. I hated sipping non-alcoholic beer as a kid, but since we couldn't have the real thing, a kid does need a drink. We learned a lot from those missionaries, like Jesus. He came to America so that he could check out the Adam and Eve garden exhibit. Well, it's in Missouri. And Mormons, they believed in polygamy still, but they just can't practice it because of taxes, and there was some other reason. What was it? Law. The law. So we decided we wanted to be like these people, so we needed to go where the Mormons go. It's time for us to learn more. Yep, we moved to the promised land. Utah. Utah, the land where virgin women give a lot of blowjobs and let the guys give them anal instead of sex so that they can remain pure after a no coffee date. Can you imagine a world with no caramel macchiato? Yeah. Well, now we were poor, homeless, and hungry in the promised land, just as Heavenly Father intended. We used to go dumpster diving for food behind Albertsons, where we dined on expired blue cheese, and I'm pretty sure it used to be yogurt. My dad, he would hoist us up, and we would just forage for whatever we wanted. We did get a lot of weird looks from shoppers who would watch us. I know what it's like to have a lot of people staring at you, just wishing that they got there first. They had to have been so jealous. The food was perfectly fine once you get used to the taste of garbage. We would dine on fancy foods like blue cheese. I'm pretty sure it used to be yogurt. I loved this until my dad, he would make us all stop while people would stare at us and get down on our knees on the concrete and bow our heads and fold our arms and say a prayer and pray for blessings like fucking assholes. It was so stupid. It was so stupid because it was like, God, Dad, now that you've prayed over it, is it okay to eat? Pretty sure that no amount of prayer could have made this food edible, but we already did have our blessings because, duh, it was day old donut day. It's okay. Mom always had sea algae spirulina pills to help us with the hunger pains, and they did work because they tasted like fish tank sea algae. And after that, we didn't want to eat anything. Hey, it's better than the last diet they made us try. The Breatharian Diet. The one where you can eat all the sunshine and air that you want. It's a food-free lifestyle, which is a fancy term for fasting, which is a fancy term for starving. This is a real diet. There's a book, and you get all of your nutrients from the air and sun. But we lived in Utah, and it snowed, and there were 4 seasons, and it was overcast, and you couldn't be expected just to survive on air without that sun that they had over there in California. So we broke down, finally, and we had dandelions stolen out of the rich people's yards. Well, in the 3rd grade, my new parents, they were becoming even crazier, and they removed me and my sisters from public school. We don't need no education, we don't need no forced control, Hey, anybody else have that as their family theme song? Pink Floyd? Yeah, anybody else? Elementary school was
Of the devil.
I mean, my headshot parents, they didn't like the worldly ways of education. Plus, there's evil influences there, disguised as children. They didn't like what we were being taught. Things that were of the devil. Things like history, science, or my new headshot parents were out of their minds. Education is of the devil. And if you made that the motto, maybe kids would stay in school. Kids, they were in public schools run by the government, and they were full of evil, underpaid teachers. Later on in life, I did get into college. I showed everyone, even after missing a fundamental education. I just went to a strip club, got a stripper, paid her $100 and a pair of my own glittered heels, and asked her to take my entrance exams for me. Guess what, guys? She passed. Then I dropped her off at the club, and I went on to have an education. I went straight to Valley College. It's like in the valley where dreams go to die. Yeah, my college is kind of famous. It's known for their alumni, like Kevin Spacey went there. When my headshot parents were asked to take part in one of those get to the highest kingdom of heaven pyramid schemes, well, they jumped out of the dumpster and into our storage unit where we lived at the time, and we dropped off the donuts. And then we ran to the car, but then it wouldn't start, and then we got a jump from the rich people, just those same rich people who were yelling for us to get out of their yards and stop stealing their weeds to eat. So we left, and then we were headed straight to the promised land. Paradise. We had made it. We had moved to Paradise, Utah. And it was at this weird multi-level pyramid scheme meeting place that my parents, they met the person who would introduce us to the true meaning of life. That's right, guys. The true meaning of life is to join a cult. It's kind of like this sales pitch, like this timeshare sales pitch, but instead of like a condo on a lake, it's special. It's like this thing like heaven. You can't use your heavenly points until after you die. Then you get to go to heaven. Yeah. After you die, you'll get your own heavenly planet if you get a certain amount of points. It's just like this game show. It's like The Price is Right. Like, hey, come on down. You who are completely out of your minds and crazy. Yeah, come on. Join a cult. But this woman, she became a close family friend. I mean, right away, from the exact moment that she loaned my dad cash. She was extremely fundamental, a conspiracy theorist queen. She was eclectic. She had a turtleneck in every color. And she slept upside down, because obviously that's supposed to make you smarter. I think maybe it just didn't work on her, because she lost her marbles years ago. I mean, she was nice, though. She was so nice. She's still nice to me. We're actually friends on Facebook. Well, she felt sorry for our family, so she moved our family into her family's house. I am sure that her many children were thrilled to have us there. Yeah, she didn't rescue dogs, cats, or orphans. She rescued entire families. She should have had us neutered. We learned things like there's 3 levels in heaven. Did you know that? 3. There's the top level for those that are perfect, like the VIP. The middle level for people who are generally good, and the lowest level in heaven is, well, it's better than hell. It's all a mindfuck. The old religious switcheroo from legal religion to the extreme. There was so much to do. There were government conspiracy theories explaining cultish things with slideshows, charts, graphs, and cardboard cutouts. And you know what all of this means? Yeah, if there's a conspiracy theory with cardboard cutouts and slides, well, it must be true. I mean, of course, the projector showing the slides, well, it was broken. But it was a test. Still, the Lord revealeth, and my parents, they believe it. This is when we met the one and only true prophet of the cult. This is a cult that broke away from the Mormon church and put together their own beliefs. This guy, the mighty prophet. He was a prophet of the Lord, our Savior, Jesus Christ. This prophet's name? Arvin. I mean, not to be confused with Alvin and the Chipmunks. See, everything looked normal on the outside. It was just a subdivision that we lived in. With a tour, you would find out, though, that there was bulk food storage, alarm systems, medical supplies, and semi-automatic weapons. And there were also, like, hidden compartments with secret doors and secret rooms and secret bunkers. There was this one room under the shoe rack, and if you were to go in it, it was completely soundproof. It was under the stairs, and where you could scream as loud as you wanted while you were in this room, and nobody anywhere for like miles could hear anything. I was like, okay, guys, okay, stop this right here, right now. I want that as my room. People know Arvin as the prophet. Others knew him too, as their gardener. The prophet of God was a landscaper. He had these big ideas that were outside of the norm, these big ideas that were outside of the box, global ideas that needed to be shared with nobody ever. Just don't translate or quote the Bible like you wrote it. Atheism, it's a non-profit organization, and cults are a for-a-profit organization. Prophet Arvin and the followers, I mean, they were so proud of their diversity. See, Arvin, he liked people that were white, real white, and really fucking white. This guy Arvin, he also convinced all these women that he was basically just like Brad Pitt in heaven, after we die, of course. I mean, his less than lusty looks were just another test. It's like, God likes to test us to see if we could look past it. Because, see, what happened is, in heaven, before earth, God, he was going to make all of the women in the cult ugly. But then Arvin, he stepped in and told God, please, make him ugly instead, and all of the women beautiful. See, that's what he sacrificed for all of us, to be pretty stupid. See, Prophet Arvin, he wasn't alone in being a prophet. There's other prophets all around the world, even in America, and they've decided, yep, they're prophets. Other self-proclaimed prophets, like Warren Jeffs and the FLDS cult. Uncle Warren, they call them. See, his dad was prophet ahead of him first, and he had a lot of wives. And so when his dad died, Uncle Warren, he took over the marriages of his dad. What a great guy. I mean, that guy, he was a real motherfucker. Literally. Uncle Warren. It's like he named himself to sound like a, what do you call it again? Oh yeah, pedophile. And why the uncle part? I know the town is all related to each other, and I realized something about myself and all of this. I realize with all of this information that I have about cult life, I really should be better at braiding. The men, they were the leaders of their chosen family. They also had women and girls of different ages, and they would together form what was called a sister council. Sister wives. No one can eat just one, or marry just one. See, some of the older women, they had jobs that were outside of the group, and that's okay. I mean, they were really, 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 really old. Only the really old, because they were so slow that by the time they tried to leave or escape, we could catch them. I mean, it would be that there were a lot of things in the outside world that were just of the devil. All the young boys, of course. You want to know about those guys? Well, the boys were free labor for the gardening company that Prophet Arvin owned. So when the boys became teenagers, though, they were seen as competition to the old men, so they were all thrown out, lost boys. Yeah, they had no responsibilities, no path, just thrown out onto the open road. There they were, all alone, sipping on their near beer. I was like, they're so lucky. I mean, I missed this fantasy of having a young teenage boyfriend when I was young. I mean, I guess I just had to keep myself busy, listening to my indoctrination brainwashing tapes. This is why polygamy is justified. They had this thing that somebody had written down at one time, and then that thing, it becomes the truth. Here it is. Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, my servant Joseph, if any man espouse a virgin, and desire to espouse another, and the first give her consent, and if he espouse the second, and they are virgins, and have vowed to no other man, then he is justified. He cannot commit adultery. And if, having 10 virgins given unto him by this law, he cannot commit adultery, therefore, he's justified. See, this is Doctrine and Covenants, section 132, verses 161 through 62. This is Mormon scripture, but turned fundamental. I mean, who would ever want to fuck this dude, Arvin, prophet or not? I mean, who cares how hot he is in heaven after he dies? Some of the women, they said that he looked like a Greek god in heaven, like a mighty hot prophet with a cape and a sword and armor to carry around in heaven for no reason. No reason at all. Sounds like Comic-Con. I mean, even the hottest guys look stupid after wearing something like that, even if it is in the privacy of their own imaginary planet. Personally, I'd rather fuck Manson or Koresh, but they would be totally dead lays. I guess I just like musicians with long hair and something to say. So here we were getting all of our weird information from a gardener, not from a real saint like Madonna during the living on a prayer phase. Prophet or not, Arvin, he looked just like what is the word? Oh yeah, pedophile. So Arvin, this gardening prophet, how the fuck did a landscaper named Arvin get all that power? You should have seen our yards. They were spectacular. I mean, he promised a rose garden and he delivered a masterpiece. It was the best fucking rose garden. But mostly the thing that he did best was he would grib his followers that if they didn't follow him, that they would go to the lowest depths of hell for all time and eternity and burn. Cool. Arvin smelled like grass. And not the good kind. I remember when we moved into the cul-de-sac in the subdivision, our family was divided up into different homes. The moment that we got there, I know, I was no longer with my parents. Awesome, right? Yeah, we had food, not dumpster diving. We played fun games, like tag or twister or I do run, 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 I do run, run. We would play border crossing or Candyland. Oh, here's another fun game. Rape in the dark. I mean, I was like, next time, can I be the rapist? I mean, I didn't really want to rape anyone. I just really hated to lose on game night. Who's running this shit show? Oh yeah, Arvin. This is getting weird, right? Guess what? It's been weird. Cult leaders, they prey upon broken people and people who happen to have really hot kids. I mean, I know that it's show-offish, but I was a really hot kid. Everybody had a favorite wife, and I knew that someday I would be a favorite wife in a polygamous marriage that wasn't legal. Oh, one could only dream. all this crazy brainwashing going on. There's these weird beliefs, but when it comes to the end of the world being at stake, you just can't risk not being with the right cult. I know you're probably wondering about this point, like, what were you thinking about, Amber? And I was like, well, I don't know. I was just 12 and barely married. I remember this one kid that was there. It was like, she was a runner. Man, she was fast. It was like, we got a runner. Got her. I had a lot to learn. I was taught how to get messages straight from God. Like, pick up the scriptures written by a bunch of dudes, close your eyes, open the pages, and just point anywhere on the pages wherever you feel guided. Yeah, that's God telling your finger where to be. God always fingers me in all the right ways. I learned that when we die, the men, they get their own planet. They become almighty gods, and they have a lot of wives. It's like royalty, but I thought it was like being royally fucked, literally. I mean, who decided that women don't get a planet? And who says that I would want to live on the prophet's planet? Most of my life up to the cult, I had always been told just to figure things out on my own. Just figure it out, Amber. Think it through. And then we joined this cult, and then I was told, don't think about it. Don't think anything through. Ever. Thinking is of the devil. Don't think about that. Just in case they were right. I had a strict guideline on what to do to fill my days. I would wake up, pray over what to wear, what to eat, what to do, which really made no sense at all because everything had already been decided for me. God, should I wear the peach dress or the peach dress? What about the peach dress? Oh, I know. I'll wear the peach dress. See, Arvin, he decided with a color wheel that was my special color. I fucking hate peach. No, isn't that just peachy? I also learned how to meditate, but it's not how, like, other people meditate, like cool yogis or whatever, Instagrammers with mantras and bells. No, my meditation was I would go to a bedroom with a notebook, and then I was told to sit and wait for the Holy Spirit to come and bring me a message from the other side. So I would go and I would sit and I would wait for my invisible friends to show up with a message. And that spirit never showed up. I was ghosted by a ghost. See, polygamists, they are like rabbits. They just keep fucking and making babies, fucking and making babies. It's like they think that they have to be responsible to get all of the spirit babies out of heaven and onto earth. Listen, I want you to know that I have never fucked for a baby. I mean, yes, years and years after I left the cult, I did get pregnant. Don't clap. I'm still deciding if I'm keeping it. My daughter, her name is Allie, and she hates that joke. It's true. I'll never be the mom that my moms were. I'm a cool mom. Women weren't allowed to cut their hair because long hair is always best to wash Jesus's feet with. You know, in case he shows up, like, surprise, man, it's Jesus. Would you mind, sis? I forgot to wash my feet today. It's like, just like a relative showing up just to tell you how things go. It's like, Jesus, you're my bro, but dude. Do you guys ever wonder if Jesus ever had a man bun? Like, geez, Jesus. I wasn't allowed to have bangs, though, because God thinks bangs are slutty. And God told our prophet Arvin, who told this other person, who told this other person, and then they made it a rule and wrote it down and put it into a slide into the broken projector. Yep, it's true now. Bangs are slutty. They also cover my third invisible eye. It's really opened my eyes. All three of them. We also learned how to use a pendulum, which is basically kind of like a necklace with something heavy on the end of a chain or a string. You twirl right for yes and no for no. See, the Spirit can talk through it and make your hand move for the answer. It's like pick and choose whatever belief systems you want, Mr. Prophet Arvin. It's the same thing that rock stars do when they pick their tattoos. Or it's the same way that all religions begin. I was living in Jesus camp. This one time at church camp, I felt like the Spirit of Christ had left me. So I cut myself. Bangs. There was very little selection of music and no TV ever without Arvin's approval from God during his daily revelations, which he would let us know about. See, we could watch chosen materials like Summer Lovers with Daryl Hannah, Dolly Parton, or here's a favorite, Dirty Dancing. See, he would explain it to us differently though. He was like, the guy, he was really in love with both women, like the woman in the beginning who had the abortion from the other guy or whatever, but those guys were in love. I mean, it's like Johnny really wanted to put both girls in the corner to be his love and his wives forever. Look, nobody puts baby and her sister wife in the corner. Dolly Parton, well, she was part of our cult in heaven before we came to earth. I mean, she can't remember it in this lifetime because she has this different mission while on earth. She has a mission which is of no purpose. That's what Arvin said. So I listened carefully, and then I told the Prophet Arvin, I said that I wanted to one day have a life without purpose. On a stage, just like Dolly Parton. But I was flat-chested, so I had no hope. I also used to ward off the devil by another obvious solution. Molasses. Just like Heavenly Father asks us to use. Yeah, you take it by the spoonful with cayenne pepper and lemon. Gets rid of evil. I mean, sometimes I wouldn't even know that the devil was there unless somebody told me. It's like, yeah, sometimes Satan was there. I didn't even know about it. I mean, I'm so blind to invisible people and demons. I mean, if you lose a spirit, the adversary will come in and it'll make you carnal. So if you're carnal, then you're of the devil. And if you use words like carnal, then it makes you sound like you know something, which sounds like you know nothing. Also, if you know the truth, then you're really royally screwed, because once you've learned something, then God knows that you know it, and you're only judged by what you know. So I've been playing dumb ever since. Molasses and cayenne's a good way to keep evil away, of course, but, you know, that's just because it's sticky and you aren't going anywhere. We also weren't allowed to go to the doctor, the hospital, or the dentist, or any other government place run by Lucifer, so we use herbal tinctures instead. Yeah, herbal tinctures are basically like, it's better than swallowing cayenne and vinegar and stuff. It's better. It's used, like, you put a whole bunch of like things like herbs and comfrey and like all this stuff into pantyhose, and then you kind of like boil and soak it, and then you like set it on you. It's all fine and everything, and unless, of course, you know, the pantyhose had not been washed and you're sitting there soaking in dirty pantyhose with a tincture. Obviously, there's no need for mental health care, education, or any outside influences here. Dying? Here's a tincture. Finally, one day, I was taken aside and I was told that my parents, that they were no longer worthy of the meat of the gospel, or the meat market of it. See, my dad, he had this problem with having his own opinion. I mean, he had a lot of other problems too, like me and my sisters, but that didn't matter. I mean, he got us kicked out. Yep, my dad got kicked out of a cult. Do you know how badly you have to fuck up to actually be kicked out of a cult? The truth is, he was actually kicked out of 3 cults in his life, but that's okay. It's just my dad. He's a guy with a personality. I mean, when it was time for us to go, it was a dramatic showdown. My headshot parents, they may not have been the brightest on the evolution lamp, since before cults we had no electricity for any lamps. But my dad, he was just lollygagging when it was time to go. I don't know why, but then it happened. Arvin was there, and I was there, and he said I was special, and that I could stay. I didn't have to go with my dad or my family. I could stay until I was 18. So I still had a couple years to go. I had time. I mean, don't worry about my parents when they left. I mean, there's other cults for them to join, and they did. I know it seems sad about them leaving me there, but that was when I became the star of the children's lingerie shows. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the kids, they would sew lingerie, model it, and then do a show for all of the local strippers that we would sell the lingerie to. All while trying to, of course, convince them to join our cult. Yep, I was just at the right place at the right time. Except for, that song by Belinda Carlisle, "Oh, baby, do you know what it's worth? You make heaven a place on earth." Well, I accidentally heard that song once. It was on the radio while we were on the way to the thrift store, me and a couple other sister council wives. Well, I accidentally heard it, and I was like, turn it up, and they were like, oh, gosh, no, we can't. I mean, I argued with them that this music was exactly what we were supposed to be doing right here on earth. We're making heaven on earth, right? But then again, listen to the words. So we compromised, and still, no Belinda. So I was like, man, I like music. It made me feel good. It made me feel really good. I would sneak out in the night, and I would sit in the prophet's car. He drove a Pinto, and I would listen to devil music. I rocked Journey, Def Leppard, Chicago, Toto, Asia. I mean, I knew then in that moment that my life mission would be to be an entertainer, just like Dolly Parton. I wanted to be out there with no purpose. I mean, I know I should have been out there listening to religious music like Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Nazareth. What is it about being traumatized that makes us want to be famous? And by us, I mean me. I would make up all of these children's strip show routines. I would be like, 1, 2, 3, kickball change, push, turn, 1, 2, 3, clap, 1, 2, 3, clap. I mean, I still remember every dance move from back then and every song that we ever performed to. Our cult stripper songs just happened to be church hymns, though, so that we could keep the spirit with us while we were entertaining the local strippers. Stripping, I mean, to hymn music is just like so not hot. I mean, these religious hymns, they're so violent. And I don't know if it's just me, but, as a kid, I just don't really want to dance to bloodshed. But then again, dancing in lingerie as a kid, it's just my way of expressing myself. I know, I shouldn't have said that. Kids are baby goats. Children dancing in lingerie. Children, not goats. Children. You can't choose your family. You can't choose your audience. And you can't choose your pedophile. Arvin always was inspired by God to have all of the prettiest be part of his sister council, family of love. Obviously, I did want him to choose me. I mean, I admitted it. Even though I was just a kid, I knew that I wanted to be on top. And not on top of Arvin. No, I just roll off. Just that I'd wanted to be chosen in this pageantry of wives because it's set up as like a celestial one-upmanship. You get a rose, you get a rose, you get a... See? From his garden. I guess I wasn't ready for the meat of so much truth because I wasn't ready for the meat market either. And I just happened to hate meat. But I knew that I would also have my own turn with the flesh. So I became vegan. Hey, can vegans swallow? If you're not traumatized by now, then you're not paying attention. I don't think I'm special. I'm just kidding. Only men can do the thinking. So, with comedy, I guess it's okay to reminisce about the good old days. Canning peaches, sewing, gardening, stockpiling enough arsenal to blow up the Russians after they set off their atomic bomb to blow up all of the Satan worshippers who happen to probably be family members. Dear family members who came to us before hungry, afraid, and craving canned peaches, sorry, too late. Hate to say this since you're dying, but the world's ending and we told you so. I mean, you did call us crazy cult followers, but yeah. Now the world is ending and we have all of this stuff. Who's the cunt now? Yeah, we were all set up. We would shoot any motherfucker at the end of times. Anybody who came for our canned peaches, bandages, and illegally hot chili salsa made from scratch. It was so good. So good. We will blow off their fucking heads while we ride off into the glorious heavenly gates, and they're just going to be swallowed by hell, as guided by his Holy Spirit in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. And you know, it's really hard to know who to kill first in a family member situation when you're going through the apocalypse. I mean, what do you do when they come to you trying to get this stuff? Like flip a coin? Or is it like musical chairs? Puff, puff, pass out? I mean, you're dead? I mean, I can't tell you which sister that I would pretend to kill during rehearsals, but that was only in my mind because I do love her. We used to have the longest prayers, and if God can hear our thoughts, why do we have to pray for so long? It's like, what are we doing? Why don't we just do something to remind God, like, how great he is? Why don't we stop all of that and just remind him instead, like, hey, take the day off. I mean, don't you think he's a bit busy up there watching this shit show that we call life? And if God is real, wouldn't he have a way that we could just text him? Or maybe we could just, like, think a thought, hit our head, click send, and poof, God would get the message right there. Mind blown. See, I figured that out. I started talking to God myself, without Arvin or anybody else in the cult, right there, from my own mind. I prayed in my head. It felt different. I mean, I remember praying and feeling like this sensation going like all through my body. It was like a burning of the bosom, or kind of like a swelling, or it was like having the spirit, like an awakening. Or it could have just been gas. See, one afternoon, after being told to turn down the music, I found out that somebody had taken home my rag doll. My doll, Christine Ann, like Raggedy Ann doll that had dark eyes and dark hair and stuff. It was given to me from a stranger with a note earlier in childhood from somebody who loves me. And that pissed me off. So I snuck off to the phone book, which was in the house across the street from where I lived in the cult, and I looked up the number for social services, which is so hard to do if you have to do alphabetical order. Like, here's the first letter, you have to go through the alphabet, then you have to go through the alphabet for the whole second letter, then start all over again for the third letter, and it's a lot to try to figure out how to look something up. But it was my top mission covert call. I mean, I was risking going to hell for all time and eternity, but that's okay. No time for debate. I dialed the number. Busy signal. Just like if you call the suicide hotline, you never want to get like a busy signal. This is kind of like the same thing. I was like ready. Social services finally did come because I had called them and told them what was going on. They took me into foster care. The FBI raided this cult and arrested the adults, and I did what any normal person in my life situation would have done. I mean, I was just running out of places to belong. I was carrying all of this weird information and experiences from this life that I had lived as a kid, and I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, I had no real skills, wasn't educated. I was just so weird, just like everyone else. So I became a comedian and moved to Hollywood. I had a lot to unlearn in life, and it turns out that I'm really good at unlearning. See, I learned that early too, with a lot of a puff, puff, pass. Where the fuck is my pass? I mean, what do you expect? This is all crazy, I know, but maybe I could use it. Hey, You could use whatever you want in comedy. When I was born, my mom, she named me Cannabis Amber Dawn Lee. The cannabis